Hey, Yes.Fit, welcome back to another podcast. We are going to be talking about something that has lots to talk about, but we're going to try to give you those bullet points that can kind of help you and guide you through the beginning of your journey of what is gut health and how can you help yourself by eating the right foods to help alleviate any kind of bloating, constipation, any of those uncomfortable feelings that sometimes we're too embarrassed to ask or go to a doctor about. This help you kind of improve your overall metabolism and digestive tract. So with me adding in, I've got Chris. So Coach Chris and Coach Cece back at it again. We're going to be talking about lots of stuff here.
Yeah, I'm just here as a pretty face today.
That's nice. Yeah. Thanks.
You're welcome.
So, what do you want to start? Do you want to talk about what is gut health? What does it mean to you? Do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, for me, and I'm now going to get out of my coach's brain, my fitness brain. It's just an overall healthy feeling of just feeling normal, whatever that means. Like
Your normal.
My normal. It doesn't affect my mood. It doesn't affect the way that I feel or the way that I operate. When I eat the foods, or now I'm kind of getting a little bit more healthier. But when I eat good foods, and the foods that you're supposed to eat during the week or the day or your meal, I don't necessarily feel too bloated or heavy or just gunked up, or I don't feel like something just happened inside of my belly.
Yeah.
So that's like me just having an overall feel of just feeling like, okay, I ate food and I feel good. It's giving me the energy that I want, and my gut doesn't necessarily. I know it's working. It's working efficiently.
Yeah, that's a super important thing, and I think that's all kind of what a lot of us would attribute what an unhealthy gut might feel like, is that feeling of heavy or lethargic, kind of clogged up, backed up, that uncomfortable sensation of maybe even tightness, or you feel that like gas, that air trapped in there, and you don't know what to do. So essentially, gut health does impact all aspects of our life. A healthy digestive system supports your brain health, heart health, immune system, you name it. It kind of bleeds into everything. So essentially going back to that fundamental basic, that idea of what you put in is what you get out, and the nutrition that you put into your body is your food source, and it's your only source of kind of energy. So making sure that it's the right one and most effective is going to be the most important factor there. We want to talk about, it can help your mental state, it can help your physical state, and it all kind of boils down to that like bacteria. So finding good bacteria versus the quote unquote bad bacteria, and finding that cycle that feeds into itself. A personal touch. I've mentioned it before, but I do suffer from stress-induced acid reflux. So kind of talking about that cycle, what that means to me is I had acid reflux since I was 6 years old. Lots of tests later figured out that it was anxiety prone and stress induced. So having this high cortisol levels in my body, being worried about the world at the age of 6, started to promote this kind of sense of anxiety that was just perpetual. And that meant by Monday I was okay, Tuesday I was feeling sick, and by Wednesday I was curled up in a ball, like vomiting. It just got awful. Burning my lining in my esophagus and my intestines. The doctors were worried that I would create and promote an ulcer and all kinds of other things if I couldn't handle it. So trying to cure the acid reflux itself, and then in turn improved my gut health without even realizing it. So knowing that, gut health can be a solution for multiple problems is kind of something that not a lot of people think about. So it's something to definitely play in your brain and kind of see, well, maybe if I'm having this issue, if I just change up my eating, or if I change up, what I'm putting into my body, I can actually help myself before I even knew it. Because I had to, through the years, I was always battling and struggling, and it wasn't until I changed up my diet and how often I was eating. I learned that, intermediate fasting might be an awesome solution for people, but me with my high acid levels and my sensitivity to that acid, there was no way that I could just, not eat for, 12 hours or so. So I had to constantly break down my food consumption. I had to change what I was eating, non-acidic foods, and we'll talk more about what kind of foods are actually good for that health, but also
Oh, we're talking about foods?
We
That's
are
good.
talking about your favorite
Now I'm
subject.
I'm hungry.
Also, cutting back on some alcohol, making sure we're not going so binge drinking on the weekends kind of thing. So
Sorry, Yes.Fit.
keeping that in moderation in check.
Okay, so moderation.
Moderation
Still
is
can drink.
Yes, always. Balance is key. We'll talk
I'm
about
like the
that.
devil's advocate on this side, guys, today.
This is actually where I talked about it before, my meditation and my mental health journey kind of started, because being able to actually address stress at the source and being able to talk my brain through it all and decompress was actually a huge part of helping everything else, therefore helping my gut as well. So, the pain subsided, my gut actually started healing, if you could imagine that, just from those simple changes, and it definitely thanked me for it moving forward. It can definitely help balance out stuff. And like you said, balance is key. You don't have to give up everything, but definitely thinking about that kind of stuff. So do you want to talk about some imbalances?
I'll tell you stuff that happens with me.
Okay.
I know you have your like acid reflux and stress reduce,
Yeah.
But like, stress eating, for me, if I have high levels of stress, and I know 2020,
that was
I don't
it.
even know.
That was high levels of stress.
I don't even know. But, 2020, and then especially with just life stress, high levels of stress, you do stress eating. That's me. I'll stress eat. I don't necessarily.
You're not alone there, Chris.
Yeah, but I don't think I've necessarily had any like diagnosis on like gut issues.
Right.
I've always kind of thought that for myself, that I've always had like a stronger, like hardened and digestive system. Like I can almost eat anything, not necessarily bad or rotten food or anything, but eat anything, and my gut's pretty good. But I think that's also attributed to overall health too. Working out and being, working out helping to manage that stress. But, going back to the stress eating, that's like a big thing for me. Like I will be stressed out and that's like the first thing that I will grab. And I think that's a lot of, and especially folks that are listening, I think that's a lot of folks' first thing. And that's a big concern. It's like, and that old school adage, you are what you eat.
Right.
And so a lot of that stuff plays an effect with gut health. And I know, based off like our other discussions and stuff with in our other podcasts, where our gut is extremely, extremely important. It has a lot of the nervous systems and functions go through the gut, right? And like you said, good and bad bacteria, any small imbalances to that anything.
They play a huge role for sure.
It messes up everything. I like I said earlier when we started, eating bad or having one or two or many drinks, especially Halloween, right?
Yeah.
You just forget, you
Absolutely.
have too many like special witches brews, tequila margaritas or whatever. I'm not making that up. This has happened. You wake up and your stomach is just messed up. That also could be age.
Right. Well, there's lots of contributing factors for sure. But I think you bring up a few good points to kind of put in the brain and think about is, age and your personal, where you're at in your fitness journey. So whether, you are someone battling with a pre-existing health condition, or if you're someone who's a little bit older, you're not going to bounce back or feel the same or push out, clean. A lot of times we like reflect and we're like, man, when I was 16, the drive-through was my thing. You know what I mean? Or like, fast food was like no brainer. Like, but your body does slow down and there's things that you have to kind of push back on. Another thing that you touched on, that stress eating, being able to manage and find the right things to eat. So now we're going to talk about your favorite food topic, right? The topic of your diet. So we're going to talk about foods that you should eat or can't eat that might start that process to wean yourself off of stress eating or something like that. If you're ever feeling cramped, bloated, heavy, you just need something to kind of help detox your body and feel stronger and start putting those checks and balances in that bacteria back into play. So there's definitely a few of those top foods that we'll go through.
Hmm.
The first one being sauerkraut, believe it or
I
not.
wasn't a fan of sauerkraut for a while, and
Yeah.
I think it's one of those like ages like fine wine. When
Yeah.
I get older,
Yeah.
as a kid, you're like, I don't even want any of
Right.
that stuff. Relish maybe or
Right.
whatever, but sauerkraut is kind of like for me like an acquired taste over time, like sushi.
I was the same way.
Yeah,
I didn't like the smell of sauerkraut.
yeah,
It was off-putting to me. Um, However, it's very popular
yeah. I hear it.
with
Yeah.
your health gut
Hmm.
because it has all those probiotics, it has all that beneficial bacteria, and it helps keep down that so-called bad bacteria that we were talking about earlier. And the bonus feature to it, it's actually packed with a lot of vitamin C, and not a lot of people know that.
There you go.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good like a vitamin C
Yeah.
booster. So it's a great antioxidant, immune booster.
Hmm.
How do you like yours? How do you take your sauerkraut? Is
You
there a
could just
dish?
like just have it. What, a dish?
Yeah.
Just put it on my hot dog.
Yeah, you like.
I'm traditional.
Yeah, you like it old school.
I don't know how else you would eat sauerkraut.
Oh, you could put it over like whole grains or anything like that. Kind of mix it
Okay.
in, and make it a little healthier.
Healthy hot dog. Yes.Fit.
A
Healthy hot dog.
healthy hot dog.
I don't know what that looks like, but I'm just saying that it's a healthy hot dog. No bun.
No bun.
I
Just
don't know. I don't know
and
about
no
that.
processed meat. So
Yeah, I guess. Well, you have to figure out what that's going to look like. But sauerkraut now for me is I'll have it here and there.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's good.
absolutely.
I mean, it also helps like fill you up too.
Yes.
So that's another thing too for folks that are trying to watch what you eat. You
Looking for things that are filling
yeah, they're
without
filling and they are
bursting
beneficial.
calories,
Yeah, so
right.
very efficient type foods.
Yes. Just a fancy little footnote on the
Mm-hmm.
sauerkraut. We want to make sure that it's not canned or anything like that. It's not preserved in that kind of fashion because it is pasteurized, which will then remove all the healthy bacteria. So it's not then bad for you necessarily, but you won't be getting the maximum amount of benefit that you could be if you were getting fresh or making it yourself, which is not hard to do. There's trillions of recipes. Yes.Fit blog will actually have a recipe for
There you go, guys.
homemade sauerkraut. So check that out too. Very easy. You might like this next one. This next one is a kimchi.
I eat this all the time.
Yeah, go ahead. Take it
Yeah.
away.
I love kimchi. That's all I gotta say. It's a good dish, especially if like all of our Korean listeners out there. This is like a staple snack dish, or I call it tchotchke or a banchan. That's
There you
what
go.
they call, right? They put it. It's to the side, but it has like I know it's like cabbage and ginger and chili and peppers. Sometimes it's like somewhat the fermenting process helps it become healthy.
Yes.
And that's where the taste is. It's also like sauerkraut.
Yeah,
So
similar.
it's an acquired taste as well, and at least for me personally, it took some time to adjust to it, but it's very good. And I put and I know in the Korean culture they put kimchi almost in anything.
A lot of
In
dishes.
anything.
Yeah.
And if you've seen the Korean culture, those guys are eating healthy and they look great and their skin looks fantastic.
Yeah,
I think
so-
it's the kimchi.
That's
Yeah.
the secret.
I think that's what it is.
The lactic acid producing bacteria that you were referring to, that definitely helps act as the healthy bacteria in the digestive system. So help kind of cleanse the tract, cleanse everything, and helps promote that stronger intestinal lining to keep the bad stuff out and the good stuff in. So it actually even helps alleviate constipation and lower that risk for obesity. So you talking about
See?
their fit bodies, it's the secret right there.
There it is.
Kimchi.
And that slow aging process. You've seen an 80-year-old
You're wild.
Korean person. They look like they're 22.
There you
That's
go.
probably because all they eat is kimchi.
Kimchi.
That's it.
That's the
That's
secret.
the trick, guys. Kimchi and sauerkraut all day.
There it is.
Yeah.
We're gonna jump on over to a more popular one. This one is yogurt.
That is super popular everywhere.
It's the go-to, right?
Yeah.
So whenever you feel backed up, bloated, even the commercials for a lot of yogurts, dairy and non-dairy alike, they have started to kind of plug the health benefits that yogurt has, being that it is one of the higher levels of bacteria. It contains a variety of all that fun stuff that helps your body kind of flush out everything. It's very versatile, so it's a great food to have in your, fridge, because you can put some fruit in it. You can make it, and later on we'll talk about some extra like additives that you can have and spice it up. So if you like that crunch, you can put some almonds or oats. There's all kinds of things to do, different flavors, obviously.
Yeah, this is definitely like the go-to snack for a lot of folks now, is yogurt, especially now. And traditionally in the past, folks that were lactose intolerant couldn't use yogurt, but now this has been very inventive
Yes.
to do almonds,
non-dairy.
non-dairy,
There's lots of non-dairy.
coconut. So there's no excuse. You can get your probiotics in there. My personal suggestion with yogurt is that you just have to be careful in the yogurt that you do get, because a lot of our manufacturers out there will claim that there's probiotics and healthy additives in them. You just have to make sure that you read the label to make sure that and do your research on certain brands, because they'll say that it's in there.
They'll market it as healthier than it is.
But some probiotics, and I won't go into a lot of the scientific stuff, but some probiotics is when they're refrigerated or when they're processed, some of those probiotics significantly reduce in the thousands or the millions, and so you're not getting enough what you would need.
Absolutely.
So just be careful.
Also, with yogurt, a good thing to kind of point out is the sugars. So a lot of flavors, a lot of additives to make it taste better, to include this or include that. I know I used to love the flip cups that had, a different kind of crunch with it, like already that kind of goes with the flavor. But a lot of those standalone flavors are honestly packed with sugar, packed with a bunch of stuff. So always check your labels. Always, always, always.
Yeah.
I'll say that about anytime we bring up food. But always check your labels and make sure that the sugar is in check and the probiotics are very organic. And if you have a yogurt or a shake or anything that's very dairy based in general that has a longer shelf life than it probably should, that's probably a red flag for you, and you should definitely kind of investigate, look further, or try to find another option. If you shop at another grocery store that's a little more holistic, that's a kind of better option to see if those brands are at both, your local grocery store and those specialty item shops, because that's when you can see, like this is like tried and true. It stands that standardized test, So that's just different options. But yeah, that's an excellent point.
Yeah, just keep it simple, like you said.
Exactly.
And that's foods in general, really, but especially with yogurt. I know we all go into the grocery aisle, and you go to the dairy section, and the yogurt aisle refrigerator
just
is
gets massive.
half, right? And so there's a lot of options, but keep it simple. You can always, like what CC said, it's not difficult to make your own mix of like a parfait style yogurt thing with organic fruits.
Yeah, if you like it
sweeter,
sweeter, add honey, like all kinds of fun stuff.
Be creative
like that.
with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Own your food.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. Make it yours, and that way you'll always keep it. Because if you just stick to some diet that some influencer told you to do, that's one of the easiest ways, to fall off the wagon, is if you hate everything that's on your menu, you're not going to stick to that menu.
Yeah, you're not going to stick to it.
Yeah. This next one's one of my favorites, actually. It is ginger. So
I love ginger.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a secret for everything.
It's packed with stuff.
Yeah.
Ginger, I personally like pickled ginger. I'm that fan. I will like eat it raw by itself. I'm such a fan.
Hey.
But this food is, well, it's not really a food, right? So you can just add it as a seasoning. You can add it to a lot of foods, beverages, kind of sprinkle it in however you want. But it's mainly a digestive aid, and it's been used for, centuries to help alleviate some nausea, some, way back when modern medicine wasn't invented, this was like a great remedy if you had an upset stomach or you were just kind of having like some weird nauseous feeling or dizzy spells. So it has this great enzyme that kind of helps your digestive tract break down food and absorb the nutrients faster. So a lot of times people will associate ginger also with revving up the metabolism because it helps speed up that process. So that's a great little source of information.
Yeah.
And also the fact that it's anti-inflammatory. So a lot of times when we have that tightness that we were talking about with gut health, that we get that like bogged up, heavy feeling, and it just feels like you're going to burst and you don't know why. Try some ginger. That's going to be a great option to help reduce bloating and that feeling of just like can't breathe. So
Yeah, I take mine in little lozenges. If you guys have
There
seen
you
those
go.
in the grocery store,
yeah,
they look like little lozenges, and you just pop it in.
there's so
and
many
it takes a little
products
time. Yeah.
that have ginger and can utilize ginger. So yeah, absolutely. Another super common one here, the greens, the leafy greens.
There we go.
It's a high source of fiber. It's fresh. It's got some probiotics. It's all the fun stuff that you think about when you think about a healthy gut and you think about putting good in to get good out. If cows eat it, it's probably on the right track. So it's great. It has healthy microbes to help flourish all of that digestive push. Adding a little bit of greens in at least each part of your meal, or if not at least two of your main meals, it's a great way. Or if you can even incorporate it as a snack by itself to just have it in between some bigger meals too, that will help kind of shrug along the process, so everything in your digestive tract will be kind of smooth sailing, and you won't hit that hard stop where you have food that just kind of sits in your stomach, and then you get that feeling at the bottom of your intestinal tract where you're like, wow, I just
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
I like how you put that.
it keeps the train moving, you
Yeah,
know?
keep it moving, guys. All right,
Nothing
keep
to
it
see
moving.
here.
Yeah.
Just keep it moving.
Keep going.
There you go. So I know I think it's the hardest to put leafy greens in the breakfast in that first meal, because that's not what we tend to think about. But I like putting spinach and kale.
Yeah, spinach and kale and eggs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
will
into
work.
an omelet.
Yeah.
I like my egg white omelet. So, kind of mixing it in or whatever. Again, finding that thing that works for you. But I think starting my day like that helps just set my track for success for the rest of the day.
They do say breakfast,
Yeah.
super important part of the day.
Not wrong there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And make sure, guys, fix your bed too. That's another thing too.
That's another morning
It's
tip from Chris.
Another tip. Fix your bed and make sure there's leafy greens in your breakfast.
There you go. This next one is probably one that's not as common, but I think it's beneficial to mention because we probably use it without knowing. And again, all of these are use within reason. Too much of anything is always never the greatest thing.
Sure.
But garlic has antibacterial and antifungal properties. So using that in seasoning and things like that, and, kind of keeping not the garlic powder necessarily that's been processed and chopped up to smithereens, although that tastes delicious. I understand. But thinking about fresh garlic cloves and things like that, and putting that into your dishes and making them a little bit more fresh and savory, that will actually be beneficial for your gut to help balance with yeast. So if we have a lot of whole wheats or any kind of thing like that, if we like wine, fermented yeast is in there. So any of those things, it helps keep that bad bacteria under control. Yet again, another one to help keep those checks and balances in line. So this is another great one to help improve that overall function. So yeah, sprinkle your garlic.
I like garlic though. I like garlic.
We're no vampires. We like our garlic.
Yeah, see, you get good garlic, you
Yeah.
got good gut health, vampires won't come.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
it.
a post-Halloween tip.
There it is.
Yeah, we're still here.
This one is kind of going back to, this is a great standalone snack. So talking about keeping, some fiber and
Sure.
probiotics
Yeah.
moving throughout the day. This, I think, is a great snack. Both of them stand alone. I kind of group them together because you can add these, like I said, to yogurt or to add it to a side dish, to a salad, anything you want. But it's bananas and almonds. I like to put both into a blender smoothie, like to, make it a little more thicker for protein and all that stuff. But bananas are a great healthy snack. We know that they're a superfood, right? They're packed with all kinds of nutrients. But they also have that good bacteria and they have lots of fiber. So that helps. And those almonds also contain those probiotic properties. So they help keep that gut health exactly where we want it, kind of on that main line. And they're also one of those healthy fats, right? So they're one of those better fats. So they have fatty acids that help kind of move through the body. You get your fat macros in that you want, that you need, but you feel full, and it's a lasting thing, even though it's, just maybe a handful of small almonds. And again, you can chop them up, throw them in a salad. You can, eat them standalone. But again, another one to kind of read the labels, check, because they have lots of seasonings. They have lots of different styles they're prepared. There was one that was like all natural, light roasted, and I turned around and I read the label, and it was like an added 4 grams of sugar. I was like, where? Why?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't understand.
It's because everybody's so preconditioned on sweets.
Right.
And so they just put it
Right,
in
and it's
everything.
an addictive trait, and it's an addictive thing.
And, going back to the bananas portion, for those folks that are, want that sweet kick without the guilt, eat a banana.
Absolutely.
Right?
Fruits in general tend to be on that sweeter side.
It's like the natural sugar stick.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'll eat bananas, and, we'll talk about this in, like, other podcasts, but, like, for before you work out or even after you work out.
Yeah.
To bring your blood sugar levels back up, or to get ready to work out. It's just, like,
Rev it
again, a lot of fitness professionals eat bananas all the time. There's a reason for it. It's a great in-between snack. It gives a little bit of a boost, especially for folks that don't drink coffee. I don't know why, by the way, I don't know why you wouldn't drink coffee. But
everyone's allowed to have their own.
We're voting. I know their own opinion. It's okay, but more coffee for me.
More coffee for you. There you go. I am a believer like you that I think everyone just needs to find the right blend of coffee.
I think that's it.
They just haven't found the right blend yet.
They haven't.
That's what I tell
I don't
clients.
think they'll ever find the right blend. I mean, there's so many coffee.
There's so many.
We're gonna do Yes.Fit. We're doing another podcast
on
it's just coffee. And it's just an excuse for Cece and I to have a big row
of just coffee.
We'll have coffee folks come in here, and we'll do a big row of coffee samples. That'd be great.
It does have lots of benefits, though.
They do.
Yeah.
All
right.
Yeah. Keep going.
So those are kind of those main food groups to kind of tackle. We've kind of sprinkled them throughout everything between breakfast, snacks, noon, night, all of that stuff. So kind of going over what we should cut back on. I previously mentioned what worked for me personally in my journey, but talking about, what you could cut back on while you're trying to help promote this gut health kind of balance to go back in check, and you're still experiencing some kind of bloating or some irregularity, definitely always see a doctor or your personal physician, a nutritionist, a dietitian, somebody to help you kind of understand better. Sometimes, that stubborn belly fat or something might not be bloating. It might be a hormonal imbalance. So definitely always check in with your doctors for anything that you have questions on. But other options, right? Healthier options to cut back on the alcohol. Again, like you so politely pointed out.
Cut back on that a lot.
Moderation is key, right?
Yeah.
So you're entitled... Yes.Fit, you're entitled to your glass of wine. You're entitled to your celebratory stuff, right? So live a little, but have that balance. Drinking lots of water before, during, and after will always help with just flushing it out of the system a little bit faster. Cutting back on sodas.
Oh, sodas.
Sodas. We know we have countless of science to back it up. Sodas are super damaging for the lining of your stomach, all of that stuff. So making sure that we try to cut back on sodas if we can, because it's definitely going to have that higher content for bloating, all kinds of pains. It's super acidic. So it's also going to not feel so great and kind of combat food that's already in the digestive tract. There's definitely options we've talked about before. To find alternatives, such as, maybe a fruit drink, something like a strawberry lemonade, or something that has that kind of sweeter side to it for sure, but maybe not so processed and not so chemically charged. Something a little more organic will be helpful there. We understand that sometimes that addiction to your favorite go-to soda is a stress relief. It's, kind of, we've got that like addictive kind of embodiment there.
Well, there's other options
for sure.
So folks, we're not trying to tell you, hey guys, we're stop drinking sodas cold turkey. And
Right.
again, like anything else, and we're going to get into processed sugars and stuff yet. Those are all addictive
Yeah.
over time. There are soda alternatives, like what you said, Cece, and so there's stuff with cane sugar or a little bit more organic, sugary ingredients, and then just try to wean yourself off of it, so that way you're not
Definitely.
reliant on it all the time. It's nothing. You can't necessarily stop everything cold turkey. It's very difficult.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't want you to either.
Yeah.
If that's that release, if that's what is your motivation, even, at the end of my week, I've done, 6 miles on my Yes.Fit race. I've done this, and this.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt
Like,
you.
it's, reward yourself, give yourself, and, we tend to, in the fitness industry, we never want you to reward yourself with something bad. But if that is something that you're working on and eventually you know that it needs to change, it needs to be, modified, if it's you're just starting to cut back, you're just starting, make it a little bit lenient on yourself. Love yourself through the process. Don't, feel so guilty every time you have a slip up or you need to get that quick fix. We totally get it. But overall, if you want to improve that gut health, that's going to be one of your go-tos, is cutting out alcohol and sodas, just off the top. Another 2 big things that we should cut out is those sugary foods and those fry foods. So those super desserty sweets with a lot of artificial sweeteners especially, and those fried foods that have batter and grease and all of that kind of baked on into it. Gonna be one of those things that I'm gonna say probably not, because that's gonna bloat you out. Higher sodium intake there, so it's going to have a lot more water retention. It's going to clog up the intestines. It's going to be a lot harder to process because it is processed food a lot of the time. So shying away from all of that excess and going for a more lean, more organic, more clean. If you can make it in your home on your stovetop, it's probably way better than if you can get it on some drive-through for $3. That's going to be my kind of recipe to gauge it. If you can make it at home, then it's probably a lot better for you. Even if you are quote unquote eating out or eating through a drive-through, if it's something grilled or a little bit more sustainable, it's got some leafy greens in it, that's going to feel better and give you energy to keep moving forward with your day than trying to,
Yeah, we want you to be in control.
Right.
Yeah, as best as possible. And again, like you said, if you're cooking it at home, that means you're at the grocery store picking and selecting ingredients. It's much better to get, quote unquote, the fresher ingredients than something that was already processed.
Right. Processed and frozen foods are never the go-to there. Frozen foods lose a lot of the health benefits, and then you're just storing nothingness, really. You'll use the energy and you'll use it and consume it, but you'll get a lot more nutrients and a lot more productivity out of something that's completely fresh, and it's got a shelf life that's, within the moderate according to time frame, right? So poultry and stuff like that, a few weeks, and then, so on and so on. So finding things that are fresh are always going to be the way to go. Something that's not so tangible that you should think about cutting back on is easier said than done, but me being my mental health freak that I am, I'm going to talk about it anyways. And it's stress, cutting back on stress, right? So at the top of the story, I told you guys about, my struggles with stress-induced acid reflux and how that totally tore up my gut health and everything about it. So reducing stress is super important here. Things like meditation, like taking a walk, like those junk journals, all that fun stuff that I've talked about before. It's going to be one of those things where you want to help clean, calm, soothe your system, your digestive tract, all that stuff. Stress kind of affects the digestive system by what kind of nutrients you actually can absorb through your intestines and stuff. So gas production related to nutrient absorption is going to increase. You're going to feel that heaviness, that bloated sensation, that tightness in the actual lines of your intestines. They do have that tight barrier that, like I mentioned earlier, lets the good stuff in and keeps the bad stuff out. But that barrier, that lining, will then get weaker as your body's kind of going haywire, trying to figure out what the stress is and how to compensate it. So, because technically everything in your life is stress. If you go work out, you're putting stress on your body. If you go and your job is very stressful mentally, it's draining. So finding that balance between what is like good stress versus bad stress, and then being able to de-stress through all of that,
There it is. Yeah.
is what's going to help your body so that you can have those stronger lining in your intestines. You can keep the bad stuff out, good stuff in, because you don't want to let the bacteria for your gut to overall just kind of escape and go into the body, because then you just have bacteria floating into your bloodstream, and all of that can lead to problems too. So finding that and helping pain relief and comfort by relieving gas and all that kind of bloating sensation, drinking a lot of water, being able to be very regular, super important. So overall, to kind of wrap things up, thinking about balance as always, as we mentioned throughout our conversation, balance is key here to have that happy and healthy digestive tract, and an eating clean kind of mindset. Yes, you can kind of veer into your own little alleys of what you like, what you need to compensate with, but also being sure to always maintain that water, especially if you are, right? So if I know I have a really hot date with my man and I'm going to go drink a glass of wine, I'm going to be drinking more water than I would normally, because I'm going to help compensate my body for that, right? So drinking water, drinking plenty of water, having those leafy greens, finding those methods to kind of sprinkle it in. We gave you a handful of tools. We also have this up on our Yes.Fit blog right now. So if you're listening, be sure to check out our blog version of gut health. We have different and a little bit more in-depth about each of these foods and what you can do to kind of grow that arsenal in your kit. So anytime you are feeling a little bit bloated or you've got a little bit discomfort, you know exactly how to tackle it, you know how to address it, and you know why it's happening. And you're like, oh, well, now it makes sense. And so you can kind of modify and just know your body better and know yourself better. So that's my peace of mind for your gut health.
That's a lot of info today.
It is, but it's
good info.
Yes.
Yeah, and again, you know, a lot of these things, CC is very conjoined. Like, it's a waterfall effect, right? So watch what you eat. Obviously, you hear it all the time, everybody. But when you mention stress is good stress. You got bad stress. You just got to learn how to balance.
Right.
You know, and stress too is a big factor. You get a high level of stress, you know, those cortisol levels go up, and you could be eating healthy, but it's going to not work in your favor.
Right.
So just make sure
it all plays. It's
balanced.
that cycle that I was talking about. You just got to make sure your cycle's in check. And when it does break, right? So that cycle's kind of like a circle. If that gets a little bit bigger on one side than the other and it kind of breaks apart, you have to be able to pinpoint where it broke. So that way you can mend it. Right. Good. You got to know the problem before you can fix the problem. So definitely.
That was it.
That's it, y'all. Yeah. We will see you here next time.
Don't forget, guys, if you guys are on our podcast, go follow us up on our Instagram account at Yes.Fit Challenges. If you're on Facebook and you're seeing this on Facebook, like and subscribe to it. Especially on YouTube, guys, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and stick with it because we have much more coming.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, CC.
We'll see ya.
Bye, guys.
Bye.